Mic check 1 2. Testing testing. Testing testing. 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Testing testing 1 2. Kwa team. Mic check 1 2. Testing testing 1 2. Mic check 1 2. 1 2. ICT 1 2.
Let's give glory to God. Let's pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of the leaders and the county assemblies for the welfare of the society and just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant and treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen. Honourable members, you may be seated. Kindly clerk confirm whether we have the quorum to transact the business of the day. Honourable members, the attention of the chair has been Honourable members, the attention of the chair has been brought for lack of quorum understanding order 37-2, I direct the Sergeant Adam to ring the bell for a record of 10 minutes as you leave the door wide open. But meanwhile, I direct the clerk through the whips. I'm not able to see even a single whip in the house, both the substantive whips and their deputies. Do you have the whips in their house? Are we able to nominate one from both the divide of their house? Honorable Chair, kindly see whether at least you can mobilize a few members within the precincts of the assembly to come. Honorable Chengjera. On the side of UODA, I normally have my whip, Rachel. Kindly clerk encourage members who are not able to attend physically to join the link. We are both physically and Zoom. Sergeant Atam, please. We have the quorum. Thank you. Honourable members, now we have the quorum that will allow us. As indicated before, I'd informed the House that we are both physical and virtual. So the Assembly is properly constituted. We may proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Under order number 5, we have papers to be laid before the Assembly. Under Roman 1, the report of the Select Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. This is in regard to consideration of the petition by one Esther Mbithi. Chairperson, Labor Committee, please. Kindly proceed. Press your mic on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 221, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of this Assembly today. That's the 6th March 2025.
Honourable member, please. We have got a fiscal strategy paper to consider before the plenary. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sergeant Atam, take orders from the chair that no member leaves the plenary until we conclude order number 8. Can you proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 221, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of this Assembly today, Thursday, 6th March 2025. The report of the Sectoral Committee on the Labor and Social Welfare, consideration of the petition by Esther Mbithi, L/number 2015-00-71668.
Honorable Catherine, please, a member is on the floor.
An employee of Nairobi City County regarding responsiveness to her concerns relating to historical injustice and right replacement by the Public Service Board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay.
Chairman, are you through?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Robert Alai. Is Honorable Alai in the House, or did he delegate the same to anyone? Under Order 6 on notices of motion, the mover is not around, being Honorable Alai. I direct that the notice of motion be deferred to a later date, and the House Business Committee to slot in any other day for consideration. Thank you.
Order number 7, statements.
Sospita.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a statement by a designated member on behalf of the Assembly Business Committee, pursuant to Standing Order 47-2A. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 47-2A, on behalf of the Assembly Business Committee, I rise to give the following statement regarding the business appearing before the Assembly for the week beginning Wednesday, 12th March 2025. Honorable Speaker, the Assembly Business Committee met on Tuesday, 11 March 2025 to allocate business for week for consideration by this Assembly. In that regard, Honorable Speaker, allow me to brief the Assembly as follows. That 1, tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 March 2025, under Order number 8 and 9, the County Assembly will be considering the following business items. A, adoption of the report of the Select Committee on Public Accounts on the consideration of the report on the Auditor General on the financial statement of Nairobi City County Assembly Service Board Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2019, and B, adoption of the report of the Select Committee on the public accounts on the consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Nairobi City County Assembly Service Board Car Loan Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2019. Number 2, further, on Thursday, 13th March 2025, under Order number 8 and 9, the County Assembly shall be considering the following business items. A, adoption of the report of Select Committee on Public Accounts on consideration of the report of Auditor General on public participation in Nairobi City County budget making process for financial year 2021-2022, and B, adoption of the report of Select Committee on Public Accounts on consideration of the report of Auditor General on COVID-19 vaccine rollout for the Nairobi City County government. And 3, lastly, Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday, 18th March 2025, under Order number 8 and 9, the County Assembly will be considering the following business items. A, second reading of the business of Nairobi City County Betting, Lotteries and Gaming Bill 2023, Assembly Bill number 12 of 2023. Bill sponsored by member for Ngara Ward, Honorable Chege Maura, MCA. And B, the motion by Honorable Perpetua Ponjiwa, MCA, urging the county executive to develop a comprehensive county local tourism policy to provide for establishment of strategies and programs to boost local tourism within the county. Honorable Speaker, the Assembly Business Committee urges members of these Assembly to familiarize with the aforementioned reports, bills and motions and prepare accordingly for debate through the help of our research department. Details of the reports, bills and motions can be obtained in the notice paper, being the last page of the day's order paper and on the County Assembly website. Honorable Speaker, the Assembly Business Committee shall be informing this Assembly through its designee, the allotted business every Wednesday during the statement hour for timely preparation. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the Assembly Business Committee will again meet on Tuesday, 18th March 2025 at the rise of the County Assembly to ballot business for the subsequent week. Honorable Speaker, I now wish to lay the statement on this table of the County Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sospita. Clerk. under order 7.
I wish to request for a statement.
Honorable Jaconia.
Sorry. I wish to request a statement.
You've got a request for statement
on justice and
towards
regarding the removal of workers from major streets in the
justice and legal affairs.
In January 2025, the county government
Kindly, Sergeant Atam, facilitate the honorable member.
prohibited workers from operating on Main Street and avenues including Haile Selassie Avenue and Kenneth Matiba Road. According to the hawkers, were directed to sell their wares from baskets and lanes from 4 p.m. To 10 p.m. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the chairperson should inquire into and report on 1. Whether the county executive has put in place measures to regulate the
Okwenya.
in the basket and lanes. Number 2,
Okay, Honorable Okwenya.
has planned to provide and erect baskets stores for hawkers. And number 3, long-term measures that the county executive has put in place to accommodate and integrate hawkers in the economy of the county. Honorable Speaker, I also have another request for statement. Can I proceed? Honorable Speaker, can I proceed? Honorable Speaker, can I proceed to the next statement?
Kindly proceed, honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A request for statement and I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Central Committee on Land, Planning and Housing regarding the continued encroachment of public land by private developers across the county. Honorable
The answered technicians are really letting this house down. I don't think that should actually be the quality of the kind of machines we procure. Sergeant Atam, kindly find out with the answered office what's happening. Honorable Kenya, kindly proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, land belonging to the county is categorized as public land by the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It is legally protected from the encroachers. However, it has become common practice for private citizens and entities to lay claim on pieces of land that belong to the county government. For instance, in the central business district, specifically around Haile Selassie Avenue bus station, the proprietor of Gogo Mall has pulled off a public lane, that is road of the county. The state developer demolished businesses belonging to traders without notice in August 2024, leading to loss of and damages of businesses. Honorable Speaker, the closure of the access lanes has greatly inconvenienced pedestrians and shoppers. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the chairperson should inquire into and report on the steps that the county executive is taking to protect public land from private developers. Number 2, whether the county executive gave the authorization to the said developer to close off the said lanes. Number 3, whether the said developer obtained development approval for the construction of the structures. And number 4, enforcement measures to the county exactly will do to protect and prevent such occurrences in the future. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is an urgent matter, and it's my prayer that, Honorable Speaker, it is to be looked upon as soon as possible, because the people who are doing business there are already suffering, and the road that belongs to the public is already closed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Kindly the Chair for JLAC to give undertaking on what period of time you would want to respond to the concerns as raised by the Honorable Kwenya. The Vice Chair, JLAC, is he online? Member, an active member of JLAC, kindly step in. Oh, the Vice Chair, JLAC, is in the Assembly. Mweke hapo. Anasikia kweli? Ungeweka pale. Thank you. Honorable Kwenya, the Vice Chair JLAC has requested for 2 weeks in order to get a substantive report. Are you okay with that? Honorable Kwenya?
I'm very okay with that, Speaker. It is in order.
Are you able to get hold of the Honorable Member?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I can hear you, and I'm very okay with that.
He's okay. Thank you. Kwenya, proceed. Bring the mic.
I'm done, Mr. Speaker, I'm done.
You have a second item under your name.
I've already read the first one for the hawkers, and I've read the one for the private developers.
Sergeant. Honorable Member, what have you just said?
I have read the one for hawkers I've read, and the other one for encroachment I've read already.
Okay. Thank you. Now the chairperson, lands, planning and housing, to give undertaking. Honorable Majority Leader, you are
recessed in a week's time.
If 3 weeks can do for us, we'll be able to respond to the Honorable Kwenya.
I hereby instruct the chair as such.
Thank you. Honorable Kwenya, I hope the leader of majority is clear. He's requesting for 3 weeks. Now that we are only left with 1 week to proceed for the short recess. I hope that is in order.
It is in order, Speaker.
Okay. Honorable Jaconia has requested his request for statement to be deferred to tomorrow. By the leave of chair, the request is granted. Honorable Joy Mudoni. Deferred. Clerk, proceed.
Order number 8, procedural motion.
Honorable Emily. Is it?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that, notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order number 227, Section 7, and pursuant to provision of Section 90 of the Public Finance Act 2012, this Assembly resolves to extend the period of consideration of the County Fiscal Strategic Paper for the financial year 2025 and to 2026 by a period of 21 days from Saturday, 15th March 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, the pivotal role of the County Fiscal Strategic Paper plays in any financial year. Sorry, let me go through that again. Honorable Speaker, the pivotal role of the County Fiscal Strategic Paper, CFSP, plays in any given financial year is secured by the provision of Section 117 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and our very own Standing Order 221. Honorable Speaker, the paper plays a role in determining and setting the broad strategy priorities earmarked for the implementation of the subsequent financial year. Most importantly, the paper sets the ceiling for the respective sectors beyond which their respective budgets submitted in April should not be exceeded. Mr. Speaker, the CFSP and the Debt Management Strategy Paper 2025 for the financial year 2025-2026 was submitted to the County Assembly, tabled on Tuesday, 4th March 2025, and committed to the committee, to the Select Committee on Finance, Budget and Appropriation Committee for consideration and reporting in line with the standing orders. The provision of Section 1176 of the PFM Act 2012, as read together with Standing Order 277, requests that CFSP be considered and approved by 15th March each year. In this regard, therefore, it is expected that the paper be approved not later than this coming Saturday. However, provisions of Section 104 of the County Government Act 2012 provides that a county government shall plan for the county and no public funds shall be appropriated outside a planning framework developed by the County Executive Committee and approved by the County Assembly, retreating to the provision of Section 1171 of the PFM Act. The law dictates that the county treasury shall align its county fiscal strategic paper with the national objectives of the budget policy statement (BPS). This provision of the law expects that an approval of the BPS should be proceeded considering the CFSP BPS should be proceeded consideration of the CFSP. Once again, the reality of our time, Mr. Speaker, is that the National Assembly is here to dispense of its consideration of the BPS, making full legal compliance a difficult task. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, the comprehensive reading of the above provision leads to the inseparable conclusion that approval of a county annual development plan, CADP, inform the preparation of the key budget documents, including the county fiscal strategy paper, CFSP. It is, however, noted that as it stands, the County Assembly has just dispensed the consideration of the ADP, which has a number of recommendations that should inform the county fiscal strategy paper. It therefore implies that the hands of the County Assembly are tied, making timely consideration and subsequent approval of the submitted CFSP not properly grounded, legally and procedurally speaking. Therefore, it would be impractical to consider the submitted document and comply with the timeline set for 15th March 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, This process should therefore not be realized within the limited time available for consideration of the CFSP, hence the need to extend this deadline to make it possible to have a budget document that meets the aspiration of the county government while maintaining the spirits of Section 117, 125, and the PFM Act 2012, and Section 104 of the County Government Act 2012. In doing this, Mr. Speaker, I'm guided by the provision of Section 90 of the PFM Act 2012, which allows this House to extend timeline for consideration of the documents submitted to it under that specific statute. The ruling of the Nairobi City County Finance Act 2018 has indeed confirmed these facts. In this regard, therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to beg that the Assembly agree with the committee on the extension of this time as proposed by this Assembly through its committee to adjust the CFSP 2025. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request Honorable Katile to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, Honorable Emily has laid out the many reasons as to why we should be granted this extension. As an assembly, we are all aware that today is when we started receiving briefings in our committee on the CFSP, and also, Mr. Speaker, owing to the fact that the budget policy statement is not yet ready from the national level, it is prudent that this extension be granted, because we will not have dispensed with everything by 15th, noting that today it is the 13th of March, and because of those reasons and the reasons read out by Honorable Emily, I beg to second.
Honourable members, under Order 8 on procedural motion, I now propose that, notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 227-7 and pursuant to the provision of Section 90 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, this Assembly resolves to extend the period of consideration of the County Fiscal Strategy Paper for the financial year 2025-2026 by a period of 21 days from Saturday, 15th March 2025. Honourable members, plenary. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader, please.
Honourable Speaker, I don't know whether. Thank you, Speaker. Allow me also to put my voice on this. That is very important for this particular agenda to get enough time. And speaking on the point of the broad-based government, for those of us, as I sit here now, I want authoritatively, Honourable Speaker, to pronounce that beyond last week on Thursday and Friday, I am the leader of the broad-based government in this House. Having said that, Honourable Speaker, I'm here to confirm whether my counterpart is part of the broad-based government, or I'll be forced to appoint the leader of minority who is part of the broad-based government. But the acting president is seated precisely looking at me, and I'm sure my counterpart is also part of the broad-based government. Having said that, Honourable Speaker, I want to put on the basis of the broad-based government. You're aware my party leader, who I can equate to the co-president of the Republic of Kenya so far, say this in his statements, that for us to achieve the reality of devolution, the national government ought to release what belongs to the county government. Then he has put to a cap of 450 billion. The reason as to why the national government has not yet pronounced itself, because there's a tussle between the Senate and the Treasury, whereby the Senate is proposed to have given county governments 417 billion, while the National Treasury, led by my friend, the most learned mathematician on earth currently in Kenya, EBS Mbadi, is proposing 405 billion. Now with the enigma of Police of Kenya pronouncing himself, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, for those who heard him in KICC, he was not talking about 405, he was not talking about 417, which is a tussle between Treasury and the Senate. He was talking about 450 billion. Premise on this, I don't think His Excellency, the smartest president currently in Kenya, William Ruto, will ever change the lane the elder brother has said. And we stick to that. As a broad-based government, I want to plead with the National Treasury to provide county governments with 450 billion. So that this assembly can have a budget of 6 billion. We do a proper oversight. Honorable Speaker, I've just heard you facing a challenge on a communication. Your members cannot communicate virtually because the system is outdated. But Speaker, you cannot afford to buy a modern system. If the National Treasury, under the wisdom of the Right Honorable and His Excellency the President, can allow the national government out of 4 trillion, our budget is projected this year to be 4 trillion. Out of 4 trillion, only 450 billion to the county governments. Honorable Speaker, I'm sure you'll have a budget of 5 billion from 3 billion to the County Assembly of Nairobi. And no one will fail to do his oversight for. Honorable Speaker, on that also, on behalf of CAF, we are looking forward that autonomy of assembly is realized before the National Parliament pronounces the estimates, the way forward for this particular sharing of revenue. Honorable Speaker, I beg to ask this assembly, on behalf of the broad-based government, kindly from today henceforth, call me the leader of majority for the broad-based government. Because I'll be leading both national issues and county issues broadly. My counterpart Kainde is here with us, is still a member of broad-based. Until then, we are intertwined. Me and Kainde were one. Outside there we'll talk, inside here we are one. So don't worry about Kainde. You see, we are seated together. For those reasons, Honorable Speaker, I want to say thank you so much for the patience, and thank you, the chair, the acting chair, in the present absence of our chair. I must also applaud the entire assembly, Honorable Speaker. For a good gesture, we showed our chair for budget during the Battle of the Mother. I saw Kina Lugonzo, they just arrived this morning today. They still remain behind to give some warmth to the chair. Honorable Speaker, thank you for leading us. A number of more than 100 MCAs who are in Migori, led by the President of Broad-Based Government, the Right Honorable Prime Minister. That was a good gesture. Thank you so much, Speaker, and God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader. The official communication I have as the chair is Honorable Peter Anyole Imwatok is holding a position of the leader of majority in the Assembly of Nairobi. So the self-proclaimed position, actually that should be not for this environment. I want it to be very clear, Honorable Majority Leader, the title can be used somewhere else but not within the precincts of the Assembly. Honorable members, am I clear? You can't correct the chair, Honorable Catherine. Sergeant Chatam, please. Honorable Chengjara, kindly proceed and... Order, Honorable Catherine. Please, Honorable Catherine. Majority Leader, please. No. Your mic, the Honorable Chengjara is on the floor. Honorable Chengjara, kindly proceed. You want to be informed by the Honorable Majority, but you have not even contributed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, Mheshimiwa Chengjara was not part of my entourage in a private VVIP launch that day. I want to inform you that following the Honorable Jera and the entire House, a document was signed that committed ODM to UDA under broad-based government. That meant we are partners, both out and inside. So therefore, Honorable Jera and the rest, including the Speaker, you cannot challenge Raila Amolo Odinga.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader, for agreeing with the chair that the said MOU was signed at KICC and not within the precincts of this assembly. Thank you, and you stand guided. Honorable Chenjera, kindly proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm also delighted to have a word in regard to this annual development plan 2025. Honorable Speaker, before I mention anything about this,
Honorable member had actually requested members to stay behind because of this agenda number 8. This is quite critical to your role as an elected member. Please, it's carrying all your development agenda. I don't know whether at least you have gone through the fiscal strategy paper and seen what actually is intended for your award. Kindly come up this side.
thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kindly, Leader of Majority, please. Let Ochieng Jera proceed. Honorable Chairperson for Trade, don't engage the member. Kindly proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that I'm equally very much happy to have a word in regard to this document. Allow me, before I say that, Honorable Speaker, that while the Majority Leader for the broad-based government was engaging us here, his deputy was silently looking at him, not happy. I don't know what's happening between the two, because they serve in the same office, and his deputy is not happy. But I'm sure that collective responsibility will force Honorable Kaende to support what his boss has signed with the broad-based. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, as much as I refer to this document as a very much elaborated document, they have indicated the request made by each ward across Nairobi, which is more detailed, and I'm very happy about it, Honorable Speaker. But the only concern I want to put across, Honorable Speaker, is that submissions from my ward Lindi were omitted. Can I conclude this?
Honorable Emmy, just give him time so that you may respond effectively.
I think he's talking about something that we have not even discussed. That is the ADP. We have not looked at ADP, and that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, but I need to put it before the House so that the member, the Speaker knows that I have a complaint. You know, Speaker, there's a time when this document was brought to the House, and after 1 hour, the public will have this document. They will ask you, in that document, we have seen Makina, Sarangombe, and other wards. Where is Lindi? So I have to put it very clearly here. If it is coming up, I will be able to wait for that day. But the truth is, there's a day that a document was brought before this assembly, and within 1 hour it was out there. People are asking, where is Lindi in this entire document, Honorable Speaker? And therefore, I wish to your protection that I am granted that opportunity to ensure Lindi is part and parcel of this document. Lindi and Makongeni associate.
Honorable Jera, maybe you need to revisit the motion before the House. The Honorable House is just seeking for extension of period on which to consider the fiscal strategy paper. So I hope your concern as raised is very pertinent, and it's going on record that such should be corrected. And the Vice Chair, Budget and Appropriation Committee, you're here to listen to members. I hope at least you have taken that positively. Yeah. My screen is clear, an indication that we have no more members to contribute under this order. And I so request the mover of the motion to make a statement of reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, members, for standing with us today. Because there are so many activities taking place out there, I didn't actually expect us to get quorum, but I thank you so much. Those who are in the assembly and those who are online. The leader of majority leader and the leader of, quotes, the leader of the broad-based government, thank you for being here. Katile, thank you for seconding. And with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Honorable Vice Chair, I hope I was very clear. Honorable members, I now rise to put the question that notwithstanding the provision of Standing Order 227-7 and pursuant to the provisions of Section 90 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, this Assembly resolves to extend the period for consideration of the County Fiscal Strategy Paper, the fiscal year 2025-26, by a period of 21 days from Saturday, 15th March 2025. Honorable members, may as many of the similar opinions say ayes. May as many of the contrary opinions say nays. The ayes have it.
Order number 9, motion.
The Vice Chair, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Before I proceed, I'm kindly asking the Vice Chair of WDF to move a little bit further because I think he's trying to talk to me so that we can change some of the projects. And then yet he didn't come to us early enough. Thanks, he has moved. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this Assembly adopts the 23rd report of the Annual Development Plan for the financial year 2025-2026. Mr. Speaker, sir, Thomas Jefferson attempted to address the rationale why governments and constitutional among men, to which he averred that the undertaking is meant to safeguard the unalienable right of life, liberty, pursuit, and happiness. Picking up from this foundation guarantees, Mr. Speaker, development planning is meant to ensure that the people affected by the action of government can keep track of the service delivery roadmap. It is the anticipation of the provision of Section 1261 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 that the county government shall annually make public the priority development it intends to roll out through a consolidated document called the Annual Development Plan. Such plan, once financed, through the rigorous review process in the county executive, should be submitted to the county assembly not later than the first day of September, with copies also directed to the Commission of Revenue Allocations and the National Treasury. Mr. Speaker, while scrutinizing the plan, the committee observed that it had to a great extent complied with the minimum statutory requirements as espoused in the County Government Act and the Public Finance Management Act 2012. Mr. Speaker, during the consideration of this plan, the committee noted a number of issues against which it will be proposing amendments to make the plan a perfect launching pad for the budget-making process for the financial year 2025-2026. The glaring deficiency that the committee noted in the submitted ADP, which it shall aim to address, include arithmetic errors in the ADP, the requirement for submission of implementation report of the solution of the County Assembly on the ADP for the financial year 2024-2025, alignment of the ADP to the approved CIDP, including introduction of new projects, midstream, consideration of stakeholders' engagement, and masking of partners, stroke donors' engagement included in the ADP, budget targets for the various activities in the submitted ADP, among other sectoral issues identified during this review. Mr. Speaker, after review of the submitted ADP, the committee has proposed a number of adjustments to make the plan responsive to the needs of our time. Under the Finance and Economic Affairs, the committee was once again keen to understand the revenue mobilization strategies to be employed to realize the elaborate resource requirement contained in the ADP. The committee agreed with the county treasury that the revenue collected and accountability cannot be treated as an isolated activity where some sectors take a backseat. The committee expects that the upcoming County Fiscal Strategy Paper 2025 shall be more intentional, focused, and clear on the revenue roadmap for the county, especially on the time of growing service delivery demand. The committee believes that the measures employed by the current administration have the potential of clearing the runway for the county to collect Kenya shillings 20 billion in a financial year. We can do this, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we pulled up our socks and go extra mile, become more fragile and on how we spend what we collect, reduced our appetite for any wastage, and become more accountable. Yes, Mr. Speaker, we can. Mr. Speaker, sir, environmental conservation and solid waste management are at the epicenter of the action points of the current administration. The committee appreciates the efforts that have thus far been made, acquisition of additional cleaning trucks, purchase of litter bins, and supervision vehicles. This committee was informed during this deliberation that the Green Nairobi sector under the environment subsector intends to acquire additional of those working tools for a cleaner environment. The committee agrees with the efforts thus far made and has recommended that in the coming financial year, the county government should continue prioritizing extensive garbage collection, maintenance of access roads to the dumping sites, acquisition of litter bins, and servicing trucks. In this regard, the committee has supported the proposal by the Sectoral Committee on Environment aimed at pushing this goal forward. Under the talent, skills, development, and care sector, the committee has, in line with the approved CIDP, okayed continued construction of ECD center, construction of social halls, sports complexes, stadia, among others. In addition, the committee has maintained its sights on the quick wins that benefits our people the most, especially bursaries. In addition, the committee has once again recommended that the sector prioritize the construction of safe houses, training of survivors of gender-based violence, establishment of units for children with disabilities, and employment of caregivers. Honorable Speaker, under the business and hustlers opportunities sector, the committee has also, through his report, proposed an enhanced allocation for construction of modern kiosks, as well as the allocation of the ward Biashara Fund. This, the committee believes, will directly impact on those at the very grassroots of our wards. Under mobility and work, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee confirms that the sector has included priority areas in our wards that if implemented, would revitalize our ward for the better. The plans have allocations for installation of street lights, road maintenance, utilization of the roads maintenance levy fund, among others. The committee has, through this report, recommended that there is need to find a lasting solution on the defiant NMS projects while ensuring that the projects approved by the Assembly through the previous supplementary estimates are implemented. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee heard from the county treasury during the deliberations on this ADP that the health sector is a beneficiary of a number of conditional grants that are neither declared nor included in the budget estimates approved by the county assembly. The committee has recommended that grants received by the health sector and all the sectors be managed within the available legal framework. So we expect to see all the grants in the CFSP and budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026. On ward development programs, as members are aware, the allocation per ward has been about 23 million. A figure that the relevant sectors decries does not take into account pending bills for the sector. To sort this mess, the committee has recommended that the allocation for WDF be increased to include additional 1.7 billion for the pending bills. This foresight of the budget committee is meant to ensure that the pending bills do not slam brakes on new development. Based on the above, Honorable Speaker, having reviewed the submitted annual development plan 2024-2025, the committee recommended that, one, that the policy and the cross-cutting recommendations contained in the tabled report be approved. Two, that the sector-specific amendments and the intervention to the annual development plan be approved as contained in the tabled report. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, and pursuant to the provision of Section 1263 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, the County Finance Budget and Appropriation Committee recommend that this Assembly adopt the 23rd report of the Select Committee on County Finance and Appropriations on the Annual Development Plan for the financial year 2025-2026. Honorable Speaker, before I call Honorable Katile to second, I would want to make something clear that I think members, you have a document. What you see in that document are not the projects that are going to be carried out in your wards in 2025-2026. That is, we actually just captured the response we received from the public participation. So just don't think like, I know there are areas that so many things are not covered, but what we picked is exactly what was covered. There are other areas that we realized even they were not members residents of those wards did not turn up. So we could not just decide that they have said 1, 2, 3. We only captured what they told us. And I'm appealing to members for us not to have this type of problem again. I recommend that every time we go for public participation, I request that you be there. Because when you are there, you will actually see what we go through, what is captured, what is not captured. So members, kindly, we are starting another, we are going out for CFSP public participation from tomorrow. Please show up in your ward so that when we come here to do a presentation, you don't blame the budget committee for omitting things that were said. Yet, people did not say that. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I ask Honorable Katile to second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Emily, for the elaborate explanation of the document before us. Indeed, this document, when you have a look at it, you can see that the Assembly discharged the mandate of ensuring that they involve the community in the budget-making process, which is a very critical tool to show that we respect the views of the residents of Nairobi City County. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you. Honorable members, I rise to propose the question that this Assembly adopts the report of the Committee on County Finance, Budget and Appropriations on the consideration of the Nairobi City County Annual Development Plan Fiscal Year 2025-2026 laid on the table of the Assembly on Tuesday, 4th March 2025. Honorable members. Yes, Honorable Majority Leader, please.
To stand and first of all, Honorable Speaker, I do stand hereby emphatically to support this report. But Honorable Speaker, with very, very, very hard comments to the acting chair, just taking from where she stopped her presentation. Honorable Speaker, the spirit of the Constitution envisaged a public participation. In this House, when you were Deputy Speaker, passed Public Participation Act, Speaker, you can remember, the Nairobi City County Public Participation. And the wisdom of our Constitution dictates that after the public participation, under the Constitution of Kenya, Article 1, the sovereignty of people is now exercised by us who are elected in this House and those who are specially nominated. And this spirit is carried through a committee of budget and appropriation, which needs to know, ought to know, that there are 85 wards, Honorable Speaker. And the Court of Appeal had a ruling that said public participation should not be just a ceremony. It must be qualitative and quantitative. Honorable Speaker, if you look at this document, the current report as laid, it is not quantitative and qualitative, but it's a public participation. Why am I saying, Honorable Speaker? It's given in terms of sub-county. For instance, Kibra, say Kibra report on Kibra sub-county, then they put words. And then after the public participation took place in a sub-county, it did not go to the ward level. The people of Lindis were not reached properly, but there's a representative under Article 1 of the Constitution, Ochieng Jera, which the Committee of Budget ought to have called him, Honorable Ochieng Jera, to be informed that during a public participation, which was not qualitative and quantitative, we want to see your input on behalf of your people on this particular report, so that Honorable Ochieng Jera could have imparted now the wisdom of the people of Lindi of electing him. Honorable Speaker, it perturbs that even the leader of majority of this House, Makongeni as a ward, was said there are no concerns in Makongeni. Honorable Speaker, just because I'm the leader of government business and broad-based government, ordinarily, Emily Ndenyo Oduor, the acting chair today, could have faced this House. But all said and done, Honorable Speaker, I want to implore upon the Budget Committee, as they do the budget estimates, let's go to original CIDP that informs the development agenda of the entire county. This is a report backing up the ADP which was presented. That's why I've withdrawn a bit, because there's an original ADP which was forwarded before this House before it went to a public participation. And I believe the Lindi ward had issues in that ADP. Makongeni had issues which has not been touched. That's why the acting chair has convinced me behind there that all is well. But next time, Chair, please, if you see this, policy about perception. When somebody walks out, the fourth estate day sees Makongeni in the report, it was not featured. The leader of majority is sleeping on his job. And you know Makongeni is the only ward with the artificial turf in Kenya, FIFA standard. Not Ashim Kamau took our president to launch a 7-a-side field. You know, Speaker, Makongeni ward is the only ward in Kenya with a FIFA standard artificial turf, capacity of 6,000 seater. done by the Honorable MCA, who is the leader of majority of this House, not the MP, not the Governor, not the President. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to implore the Committee of Budget, led by the veteran Catherine, when you sit in that committee, consider all the 85 words for perception purposes, so that no one can say, I myself slept on my job in this House, neither Ochieng Gerald on the other. But I believe the ADP, which was forwarded before this House, I've just seen on a soft copy, it captured all what Mheshimiwa Ochieng envisions in the CIDP, and the CC will follow that as they do the estimate for this financial year budget as they prepare for it. Honorable Speaker, I beg to ask this House to support this report and pass it overwhelmingly. Thank you, Speaker.
Well articulated. Honorable Mumbi, your microphone is on.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to appreciate the Budget Committee on the said report. Now, I like the conversation because we are talking about budget, which again cannot be discussed without talking about the revenue of this county. And it's an interesting topic, because as we discuss this, we are discussing while the system, the revenue collection system of this county remains unknown. It's quite interesting, Honorable Speaker. Number two, I look at the report, and in particular the budget of the county. Maybe picking it up from last year, where we had a budget of 43 billion, in anticipation that 22 billion was to be collected through on-source revenue, and 21 billion was to come from the exchequer. Based on the report from the executive, where we managed to collect 12.8 billion, which was largely celebrated because it was the highest collection since the establishment of this county, and it was being compared to Kidero's time, which during Kidero's time they had managed to collect 12.1 billion. And again, this was around 2014, 2015 there. So as we celebrate, we are talking about an increment of 700 million, because during Kidero's time it was 12.1, and now we were able to collect 12.8 billion, Honorable Speaker. So now you look at the time frame there, because we are talking about 2015 and now we are in 2024, or we were in 2024. So we are comparing now 9 years, Honorable Speaker, down the line, and the much we can talk about in terms of increment, while I appreciate the progress, we are talking about 700 million. I think you compare that to the changes that have been there. Number one, on the side of parking, Honorable Speaker. During Kidero's time, parking was 100, and it was within the CBD. Today, we are collecting, even in the outskirts. You go to Roysambo, you go to Westlands, we are collecting revenue for parking. You look at the changes in terms of land rates.
Excuse me, Honorable.
I'm coming to my point, Honorable Speaker.
I don't expect Honorable Member to engage a sergeant at arm when a member is making some contribution which are quite critical to your ward. Honorable Dan Oria, kindly hold on a bit. Yes.
Thank you for that security, Honorable Speaker. Now, Honorable Speaker, I was talking about the changes have been there in this county. You look at the approvals in terms of the number of buildings that have come up in the said period of 9 years. You look at the subdivision of land. You look at the transition in terms of parking rates, and much more, Honorable Speaker. So that in itself should explain where we should be as a county when it comes to revenue. Now, my point, Honorable Speaker, is here. That we continue to have an ambitious, a very ambitious budget, Yet in the history, since time immemorial, we've never even, gotten to somehow a half. We've never gotten to the target, or we've never collected as per the target. Honorable Speaker, I find it that being unrealistic and insincere to ourselves. So it's high time maybe the budget committee looks into such realities. Number two, Honorable Speaker, I look at the collection system that is there currently. This system is not configured to reflect the lowest unit of our county, which is the ward. Honorable Speaker, I did submit a letter requesting to know the revenue collection within Roysambu. I submitted a letter through the revenue collection department. And I wanted to know the amount of money generated in terms of the revenue collection streams, that is land rates, parking, licensing, and so on. It's very unfortunate, Honorable Speaker, that we have a collective system where all the land rates money is put. It's not divided as per the ward. That raises some question, Honorable Speaker, because you look at the total amount of target, because each and every ward has a targeted or an amount that they should raise in terms of revenue. So that amount, which now is a culmination of the total expected amount of own source revenue for the county, is broken down into wards. And now, when you get to the ward, Honorable Speaker, there is a way they have categorized that as per the revenue system. For example, let me give you an example with Roysambu ward. The target last year was 228 million. It was the highest within Roysambu as a sub-county. Now, I look at the breakdown in terms of own source revenue. It was 170 million was expected to come from land rates. Parking, it was I think around 20 million. Licensing and the likes. Now, Honorable Speaker, if that target is given as per ward, but when it comes to collection, we don't have an independent account that now explains that the land rates collected from Roysambu, it's here in this account. So we don't have that. The all amount is amassed or put in the same kitty. So that begs the question in terms of how then are we able to explain the 228 million. So that is a big concern, and perhaps if you ask me, Honorable Speaker, the budget and this house should be looking into ways on configuring or having a system that aligns with the ward, so that we look at the revenue coming from each and every ward. Honorable Speaker, allow me also to get into the wage bill a bit, because I look at the increment of our wage bill as a county has been increasing for the last 2 years with 2 billion. Even this year, we expect it to rise, the wage bill, with 2 billion. So with this kind of trend, Honorable Speaker, and looking at our revenue collection facts or details, it begs question whether we are really able to sustain this kind of increment and transition. The other thing is about street lights. And with this report, can we come up to a solution-based kind of report? And this goes to the chair. A solution-based kind of report, which now, for example, in terms of street lights, this is a concern that has been there around the 85 wards. But today, we ask ourselves, how many platforms are working for the street lights? Can I tell you, there are less than 5 today as we are speaking.
Honorable Member, your light is on.
Honorable Speaker, can I request 2 minutes kindly so that I summarize? I'll try to summarize, Honorable Speaker.
Granted, please.
So thank you. Let's get to solution-based kind of report so that we begin to ask ourselves. Like in the last year, we've had 5 platforms, streetlight platform. So when it comes to reporting through the desk of the budget committee, let's get to see how many platforms have we increased to come and address the issue of street lights. Because if we continue having this conversation without really explaining what have we been able to do, what have we achieved in terms of addressing that issue. Now, WDF again, here we are, since last year, we've not had payment for WDF. I like the suggestion that you've said we want to have 1.7 billion allocated to go towards paying the pending bills. Now, we go to the pending bills. I agree and I appreciate that. But then, if we are not able even to address as in we are not able to exhaust or benefit from the existing allocation of 1.9 billion, then that begs again another question, and somehow it's something that needs to be looked into. Anyway, having said all that, Honorable Speaker, I think I want to say thank you and request that as we move forward as a House, I think let's begin to be sincere to ourselves. Let's begin to do things in the right way, because if we lie to ourselves, then we are lying to even the Nairobians, and we are not being sincere with ourselves. Yet we have a mandate to transform this county. This is our home and this is our country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and the Budget Committee, I know you will look into those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sospita. Indeed, your contribution has highlighted on areas which are of concern and should be of concern to the House as the representatives. On the revenue decline, actually, that one of the reasons why we are facing financial constraint as we speak now. We are not able to finance our budget properly. So, indeed, members should look into this critically. Honorable Munga, Chairperson, for...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Possibly I'll want to support the report before us, though I haven't taken time to go through it. But I've seen a report on what was captured in Kabiru, Mr. Speaker. That is a true reflection of what people of Kabiru want. But my big question, Mr. Speaker, will be, when it comes now to implementation part of it, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chair, the question is directed to who?
The move of the motion, which I believe is the Vice Chair.
To the executive or to the House?
Basically, it's the executive, because the implementers of the entire process. You get?
Kindly proceed.
Good projects are given, or good views are given by the public, but when it comes to implementation part of it, Mr. Speaker, we are doing injustice. We are actually doing injustice to our people. We prepare budgets here, budgets are passed. When it comes to supplementary budget, Mr. Speaker, everything that was captured in that budget is actually watered down, and is actually killing not only my morale, but is also killing the morale of Nairobians. So I'll urge the Budget Committee to ensure that whatever is captured in this process, Mr. Speaker, is actually implemented for us to ensure that we work for the efficiency of this country. But lastly, Mr. Speaker, there is an aspect of revenue collection in this county. What is actually killing this county is the revenue that we are supposed to collect. I was misquoted one time when I said we are doing badly in terms of revenue collection, Mr. Speaker. But the reality of the matter, we are losing it out. It's either we be realistic with what we have, we make a budget, because if we can collect, the chair is here, if we are able to collect 13 billion, why should we prepare a budget of 42 billion? We need to be realistic. Let us prepare a budget of 32 billion or 34 or thereabout, because that is the true reflections of what is there on the ground, Mr. Speaker, so that we don't promise people things that we cannot implement. Let us be realistic. When you tell your people that I'm going to prepare a social hall, and if you find that the supplementary budget, every social hall was scrapped, there's a mockery to our people, Mr. Speaker. So I'm urging the budget committee, kindly let us work for Nairobians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. May I now call the mover of the motion to reply? Excuse me, Honorable Member for Nairobi West, you have a burning issue, but you have not made the request, but you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the motion, Mr. Speaker, but in this regard also, I would wish to, as the committee is requesting for more allocation to cater for the pending bills, I wish they work on bringing down or stopping this issue of pending bills, because it's really affecting us and our contractors. I would request that the committee work on a lasting solution on this issue of pending bills, so that we don't carry them forward. We act on them once and for all. It's really a pain to the contractors as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you all members for your contribution. I'm going to try and tackle some of the issues that you have raised. First, the majority leader is not available, but I'll still try and address this. The issue of public participation. We get where you are coming from, that we need to do public participation all the way up to the ward level, but we also must note that we do not have, public participation needs funding. For every ward you go to, you must facilitate, you must have a tent, you must have everything, it must be facilitated. And because we don't actually have enough money, we decided that instead of doing the public participation in all the wards, we can do it per sub-county. It is just because of lack of funds. And I think you are aware of what even the speaker had mentioned, that the revenue is the biggest problem, that we cannot do quite a number of things. That includes the public participation. Then there was the issue of Honorable Suspeta talked about the revenue collection also, but this is I addressed the issue of revenue collection. It was addressed in the moving the moving notes. If you heard what I said, it is one of the issues, the concern that we raised. Then there's a strategy to collect revenue to support to support the ADP. You had that concern, but this is contained in the CFSP that is actually just been was brought to the House last week, and we are starting a public participation. It will be actually brought even at the committee levels. So it is there, and you'll be able to see it, question it, and make corrections that are necessary. It is in the CFSP. You also brought the issue of the system, how the system that are being used. When it comes to the system, how they function, this actually goes to ICT. So really how the system of revenue collection is being used, this goes to ICT and not to the budget committee. They are supposed to look at the system. That's the whole role of the ICT system. So probably you can raise that issue as a statement and address it to the relevant committee.
Honorable Emily, you stand corrected. Kindly revisit the Act properly so that you get to understand the role of the budget and Appropriation Committee as I'm making, as a committee tasked with the revenue. The system in this case, yeah?
Mr. Speaker, sir, our role is to check the revenue collection. But then, the ICT, that's why you have the ICT department, because, for example, I think they have brought in quite a number of issues on how the revenue is disappearing, especially the revenue that is being paid online. And that is why I'm bringing them in, because if we are losing revenue somewhere along the line, then that is their department. But I stand corrected, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The ICT committee must be fueled by the Budget and Appropriation Committee.
We'll do that, sir, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
And then there's Kabiru, you talked about the implementation. This is an elephant we have in the House and we have in the county. And I think severally it has been brought into this House that implementation is not being done. And Mr. Speaker, sir, if I beg I stand to be corrected, but this actually stands, this is the responsibility of the executive. The implementation is actually, we pass our bills, we pass our motions, we have our budget, but at the end of it, who implements it? The executive.
Honorable members, the tools of trade, actually a committee is bigger than the executive. A committee is bigger than the executive. And that is the Constitution. So are you through with your reply? Kindly conclude.
To order people not to advertise. The sectors not to advertise.
Sorry. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I know it is with us, but Mr. Speaker, sir, let me. I stand to be corrected. But how many times have those issues been brought here? As an assembly, sometimes our hands are tied. So it is our mandate to do it. But then, for the last 8 years I've been here, this issue has always been raised. We have an implementation committee which also says, oh, they are not giving us the report, they are not. So we will work with them, but as far as I know, Mr. Speaker, the implementation, it is actually with the executive. We can have the best documents we want, but if they refuse to implement it, what are we going to do? We'll come here, we'll call the CC, we'll call the chief officers, but if they don't have the goodwill, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable member, don't play victim.
Yes.
You have all the powers. You know what is supposed to be done if a member or a CEC member fails to implement a resolution by the committee. The law is very clear, and it is at your disposal as a committee, not as an individual.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the law is very clear.
And that's why you wield power upon the Speaker, upon the Governor, and upon anybody else. The committee is bigger than all of us here. Yes.
It is, Mr. Speaker, but I agree with you. But members, I think we know. Let's not bury our heads in the sand and say we have not tried. Every time people come here complaining,
So when you give up,
we are not.
As a committee, when you give up, then you render yourself helpless. Then now you need to resign and reseek the mandate, or even just forget about elected position or representing people.
Mr. Speaker, sir, can I ask you a question? I know I'm not supposed to ask the Speaker the question. Okay, can I make some clarification? Look at the health sector. We know there's a problem that we do not have drugs in the hospitals. The hospitals are not functioning. We don't even have doctors.
Then
we have tried.
It's now the responsibility of the Honorable House to get and find the terms of reference in articles of the Constitution on how to counter that.
Yeah, so I'm just giving an example of health. And how many times, I'm a member of that committee, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have tried several times to summon the CC, to summon the chief officer. They don't show up. They don't show up. What we hear
at
from...
any given time compel a CC member or even bring a censor motion before the assembly. Don't play helpless, my members. Yes. Honorable members, no, the member was replying, so you can't raise a point of order. Honorable members, I now put the question that this assembly adopts the report of the Committee on County Finance, Budget and Appropriations on the consideration of the Nairobi City County Annual Development Plan, financial year 2025-2026, laid on the table of the Assembly on Tuesday, 4th March 2025. Honorable members, may as many of the similar opinions say ayes. May as many of the contrary opinions say nays. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Order number 10, motion.
The motion by Honorable Mugambi, Minority Whip. Is the honorable member in the House? Did he delegate the same to any member? I direct that the motion number 10 be deferred to the House Business Committee for consideration. Honorable members, that brings us to the close of the business of the day. I direct that the Assembly stand adjourned to tomorrow 2:30 p.m. Thank you, honorable members.